It's one of those things where, like, I want to agree with Asmon, but I feel like a point like that is just kind of thrown about in a very scatterbrain kind of way without a whole lot of thought being put into it. We're going to continue the low-key fun types of response videos for now. Doing the one on Arlo was interesting. I didn't hate doing it, and it was, you know, it was less people trying to tell minorities they shouldn't exist, and more just fun. So I want to do another fun one. So this time we're going to be responding to some comments from Asmongold made earlier this year. Before we do that, though, as always, we do have to get into the fan art section. So let's go ahead and grab that. The first one we have is from Sylvia Silica. Said, I always hate showing unfinished work, but it's late and I just wanted to draw something. Honestly, perfectly fine. Like, you telling me this is unfinished is the only reason I can tell it's unfinished. That's it. Also, feet. Also feet. The next one we have is from Firesparks. It said, come here for a ball. Pinchy is hungry. I don't even remember what this was in reference to, but it's funny. Goldfish Godfish, thank you very much for the follow. The final one we have, it's featuring the avatar we're using right now. This one is from Vanity Panic. They said, thick Cirrus fan art because dramatic shrug. I don't know. Honestly, it's a very good representation of my character, though the hair, I should, you know what? We're gonna make the hair match. We're gonna make the hair match the fan art as close as we can. Just boom, right there. Now it matches. Now it matches. With shorter hair still looks good. Well, yeah, but I can modify the length of my hair on this avatar. That's one of my favorite things about this avatar is the ability to modify the length of my hair. But with that said, as always, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future episode, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and move on to the conversation about Asmongold. Now, again, this is not a super yikesy thing, but Asmongold explains why childlike VTubers shouldn't exist. Okay. I feel like I should probably get my opinion on this out very quickly. If somebody wants to have a childlike VTuber, and that's how they want to represent themselves, I see no problem with it. None at all. Now, on the other hand, if somebody wants to use a childlike VTuber and then porn themselves, that is getting a little bit yikesy. But we also have to ask ourselves, like, what is the definition of childlike here? If we're talking about VTubers who look like they are younger characters, that doesn't necessarily mean that the person behind it is younger. That doesn't mean that the representation of the character is supposed to be younger. It's only yikes when you're like, I am a child and porn me. Like, that's when you're like, oh, okay, maybe fucking quit. Maybe quit. But let's go ahead and see. Let's go ahead and see what he has to say about here. So the rise of VTubers on Twitch and YouTube has been quite interesting to watch, with the likes of Iron Mouse even becoming the most subbed to female on the platform. Her own popularity hasn't come without some criticism, however. Notably, she was subjected to an influx of hate comments on Twitch after fellow streamer Quinn69 took issue with her pretending to be a 13-year-old and talking in a stupid fake voice. Okay, the controversy has now led to award-winning MMORPG streamer Asmongold to give his take on VTubers and whether or not they should be allowed on Twitch. So I'm not 100% sure about the drama with Iron Mouse here, but again, if somebody puts on a voice for their character, I don't really see much of an issue with that. But let's go ahead and see his reaction here.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna just keep it. I'm gonna keep it a $1.50 on this VTuber thing. I think that VTubers, basically, like, VTubing is like cheating for girls. It is.
Really?
It's cheating, because you get to, like, you go in there. It is, and this is why guys are pissed off about it, is because girls, like, the thing is, like, girls got to put on makeup, they've got to look cute for the stream, they've got to do all this stuff, and, like, now they don't have to do that anymore. They can literally just have, and it's not even a normal girl, it's better than that, it's a cat girl. And so they've got a cat girl there, and it's like every guy is like, fuck, how can I compete with this? This is impossible. What's the fucking point of this? Like, yeah, you could be a VTuber. Yeah, exactly. And so you see VTuber girls that are overtaking real girls, and everybody doesn't know what's happening. Is this the future?
Okay, so let's go ahead and start out. The point that, oh, well, girls one time needed to use makeup and now they don't. Who the fuck cares? This is such a non-point, Asmon. This means nothing. Secondly, people don't just watch streamers for their looks all the time. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But Asmon, if people are choosing to watch a VTuber over you, for instance, they're probably not doing it because of the looks. Because they weren't watching you for the looks to begin with. And I'm not trying to call Asmon unattractive. I mean, hell, I have no way. I have no room to speak in that particular regard. But if people are watching Asmon, I guarantee you there's not a huge portion of them that are watching them because they're like, ah, he's cute. Because that's the same thing with me when I was using Facecam all the time. I guarantee you there was nobody who was watching me because they were like, ah, he's cute. You end up having to bring something else to the conversation as well. So categorically, you're not even in the same competition. You're upset that somebody is winning a competition that you're not participating in. The point also is, yeah, really sexist. The idea that, like, people should have to put on makeup all the time. People should have to do these things so that they are more appealing on camera. That, while you can certainly make a point that there should be a level of hygiene that people should engage with when they are streaming, when they are doing anything, job-related or otherwise, and people looking kempt certainly looks better than unkempt. That's not the point you're making. You're not making a point of people just taking care of yourselves. The point you're making is about somebody needing to engage with, in some cases, almost objectifying themselves. Not necessarily, but it's like, it's the same thing as girls having to put on all of that stuff for, you know, working in a restaurant. There's a level of, you know, put on your stuff so that you look professional, and then there's the feeling like you must doll yourself up, otherwise you won't make any money, or otherwise you won't get any views. That's a problem to begin with. That is symptomatic of a problem, and using a VTuber avatar is just the same thing as a layer of makeup. It's the same thing. It is functionally doing the same job. It is changing the base aesthetics of the person into something they are not. That's not cheating. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. So why does this feel like the bitch about hot tub twitching? Yeah, this feels like the same thing. This feels like the same thing. This is the same thing when people are getting angry at hot tub things. Okay, look, listen. If you are mad that somebody is getting viewers because they are attractive and in a hot tub, and you are not doing that, people aren't watching those streamers instead of you. They are watching those streamers instead of other hot tub streamers, because those are the people in competition with one another. That's it. And don't get me wrong, you can have, I have seen some of the most steamy, sexy, hot VTuber avatars used with no viewers. None. 2 viewers. 3 viewers. Because guess what, Asmon? On Twitch, and you should know this, on Twitch, if there is no content there, people will click off. People will click away. And sure, maybe it's easier using one of those avatars if you're going to do like an ASMR thing and somebody can imagine a cartoon lady saying things in their ear. Sure. But that's not what you're doing. That's not what most people on Twitch are doing anyway. ASMR is a small niche on here. But okay. Let's continue. It says, during a Twitch stream, Asmongold actually echoed some points made by Quinn69, claiming that VTubing was like cheating for female streamers. Again, male streamers can do it too. Even the fact that he acknowledged the point that like male streamers could do it too, that doesn't mean anything. Acknowledging a point but not refuting it doesn't help you. It just means you know a reason why you're wrong and you refuse to engage with it. Continuing on, he says he feels like VTubing is a hack for girl streamers because they don't have to look cute. Why does this fucking matter? Asmongold, trust me, as a dude who doesn't look cute, I was able to pull in viewers when I was streaming on YouTube just fine, despite me looking fugly as shit. People come for content. Let's continue his next thing.
Is this a fever dream? I don't know. But anyway, I think the VTubing thing is funny. I feel like it's a hack for girl streamers because you don't have to worry about looking cute constantly. You don't have to worry about putting on a smile every single time a guy asks you if you're selling your bath water.
Wait. Okay, now we're just knee deep in the sexism, Asmon. Come on, dude. Your point is literally the "you'd be prettier if you smiled" point. Come on. Come on, dude. People shouldn't have to engage with that. They don't have to. Does he think every VTuber's Belle Delphine? Apparently.
You can just be this VTuber avatar and be pretty spurgy about it, and people think it's cute because it's from a cute little cat girl that has a little bit of cleavage showing. And I think that's great. I do. I think that's absolutely great. It's too powerful. Yes, it's too powerful. Now, the only thing I don't like, and this is not something I really don't want to make this I don't want to correlate this exclusively to VTubing because I think this is just a overall anime trope that I think makes a lot of people here, especially in America, the place of Puritanism. But I think this is a positive form of Puritanism.
Okay. Oh, the clip is no longer available for the next bit. I guess the point he makes, though, because it does have it documented here, is I don't care if she's a 9,000-year-old vampire. She looks like she's 12, and that's all there is to it. It's weird, so that part of anime, I'm sure some VTubers have an element of it, too. Even if they don't want to with their user base. These things make me uncomfortable, and I think it would just be better if they didn't exist. It's gross. All right, let's talk about a couple of things here. So I agree, actually, that the 9,000-year-old dragon character getting sexualized is a trope that I don't like. I don't. But there's a way to do it that doesn't actually end with the, literal sexualization of a child. There's a way to do it. And I can give you an example of how you do it. If you've ever seen Tenchi Muyo, there are two characters in that show who fit this stereotype. They are Sasami and Washu. Now, Tenchi Muyo can be credited with a lot of things. It was one of the earliest harem animes, and a lot of the tropes that are established in those kind of animes begin with Tenchi. So it's a very fair place to have this conversation from. With the exception of the Sailor Moon scenes in the Little Sammy series for Tenchi Muyo, Sasami really does not get sexualized. Granted, she is noted to be 700 years old, and she definitely has the figure and the mindset of a child. But she doesn't get sexualized because the character acts like a kid. She acts like a kid. So the show does not sexualize her. It shows that she obviously loves Tenchi like everybody else. She has she has, big feelings for him. Kids having big feelings for characters is a normal thing that happens all the time in media. It's how it's handled, how it's executed, where you start to run into problems. But guess what? We don't really see Tenchi reciprocate in a sexual way. Towards really anybody in the series, let's be honest, but especially not towards Sasami. But Washu is probably the other side of this coin, where we have the childlike character that does get sexualized. She sexualizes herself. But the other side of this is that Washu is very obviously an adult. Very obviously. Throughout the entire series, you even find that the reason she uses a childlike body is because she experienced a type of racism and ended up dealing with a fuck ton of trauma that all centered around adulthood. And so she uses the popping into a childlike body as an escape because that's a thing that she can do. The logic of Tenchi Muyo is very weird. She is able to do that, but she retains the mind of an adult, the mannerisms of an adult, and she can change back into adult form at any point that she chooses to. Is there a childlike character being sexualized there? Sure, in looks only. But the mind, the portrayal, the exposition of the character is that of a fully fledged adult at all points in time. And there's not a point where the show does not make that abundantly clear in any Tenchi canon, whether we're talking about Tenchi Universe or we're talking about the Ryo-Ohki OVA, it doesn't matter. Washu is Washu in all of them, canonically. I don't want to spoil season 3 of Tenchi Muyo, but canonically, Washu is Washu and will always be Washu. Where is this a bit less acceptable? When you have a character like what we saw in Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, where you have a 9-year-old basically who is just has giant tits. Like, that's weird. That's a bit awkward. That's pushing it very strangely. Now, Kana in Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, I think is handled well. And then you get to season 2, and it stops being handled well. You can take that trope and run with it and it not be yikesy. But you can also take that trope and run with it and it be absolutely cringe, yikes, and holy shit, we need to probably see if this person needs to be put on a list. That's a thing that can happen a lot. Now, on the topic of VTubers, let's take VTubers that represent themselves in a very childlike way. We've got Nyanners, we've got Garagura, and then of course there's a shit ton of indie VTubers who do the same thing. Nyanners plays with the trope a fuck ton, to the point where I'd say for her, it's probably just okay at this point. That's a deliberate thing she is doing. Garagura does not lean into that. Garagura leans into just being more childlike. Doesn't lean into the sexualization, doesn't lean into all of that stuff anywhere near as much as, you know, someone like Nyanners does. And I can't speak for everybody on the indie side of VTubing. I'm fairly certain there's probably somebody in the indie side who either is a minor or is using a character that looks like a minor to represent themselves and is being like, oh, whoa, don't lewd me, wink, wink. I'm fairly certain that probably happens. And yeah, at that point, it's a little yikes. It's a little weird. Saying, you know, my character's 900 years old, it doesn't make it not look like a child's being lewded at that point. Especially if you know what you're doing and you're not leaning into it in the chaotic energy way that someone like Nyanners is doing. And even Nyanners' character doesn't look like a literal child. Said Asmund doesn't understand the concept of Saiso because he's not in the space. Yeah, or Seiso. Yeah, and that's probably a lot of wells. Like, Asmund might not realize that, like, a lot of people who do use those kind of avatars deliberately set up their spaces as Seiso spaces. They set them up as spaces that, like, this is not an 18+ stream. This is not they don't even accept people saying curse words in their chats a lot of times. But the indie space is broad. You can find just as many people responsibly using those characters and being say-so. You can find just as many people being absolutely fucking cringe and yikes there. It's one of those things where, like, I want to agree with Asmund, but I feel like a point like that is just kind of thrown about in a very scatterbrained kind of way without a whole lot of thought being put into it. The article does go on to say that, like, so far Iron Mouse hasn't responded to Asmongold's comments, but it will be interesting to see how the VTuber community reacts given the Twitch star's presence on the platform. And I guess, yeah, cool. I may have drunkenly stumbled into it, but for better or worse, I am part of the VTuber community as well as the other communities I'm adjacent to. So this is my response to that. If a person wants to use one of those avatars, there's a billion ways they can use them responsibly. If it makes you uncomfortable, who the fuck cares? If they're doing that stuff very irresponsibly, then yeah, there's a conversation to be had. So that one time a dude came out accusing you of looking like a child. Yeah. The appropriately sized everything character definitely did not look like an adult to the one person who just became content. Every other point has been made about VTubers here, though, I think is just utter bullshit. Whinging and bitching and moaning about, oh god, the girls don't have to look cute anymore. Holy shit, dude. Get it together. Y'all are in completely different categories of streamer. People who are watching those streamers are not trying to watch you for the same reasons. Said Iron Mouse has a young voice, but it's her voice. That's just how she is. There you go. He's a fucking nonsense. So word, I don't remember Cersei's policy on the R-slur in chat. I'm not a big fan of the R-slur. I'd rather it not be in my chat. Sakura says, I've had more than one person claim my avatar is of a child. The more recent one complained about the model. That's my profile pic. Yeah, and people will complain about that. They just need not be catered to, honestly. There's a bunch of ways to do this stuff responsibly in anime. There's a bunch of ways to do it irresponsibly, and the same goes for being a VTuber. I think pissing and moaning about it, the way Asmongold is doing after a, you know, somewhat sexist rant on VTubers not needing to doll themselves up in real life. Like, oh no, it's such a tragedy. Dear God, just quiet. Instead of, is this Iron Mouse? That's not a child. Yeah, no, that's Iron Mouse. And yeah, it's not a child. That said, that's my thoughts on there. Let me know in the comment section how you guys feel about this kind of stuff. I know there's a bunch of different ways that one can come at this conversation. For me personally, though, I think it's just don't come into a conversation like this without understanding the ways one can responsibly do it, and then blame everybody for being irresponsible with it. No, that's my take. But I've also had somebody come into my stream at one point saying that my avatar looks like a child and therefore blah, 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 blah. So maybe I'm also speaking from a little bit of experience here. Who knows? 7 to 11 is a thing some guys seem to think Anime Girls fits into, which is beyond creepy. Yeah, that's weird. That's fucking strange. But anywho, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. Follow on Twitch if that's not a thing you've done quite yet. And as always, everybody, if you want to support my stream, there's Patreon and other plentiful methods to do so. As always, everyone, insert end of video tagline here.